Why does anyone think that Trump can surrender Ukraine to Putin completely and we should almost dig a grave pit for ourselves? We will now dispel these doubts, fears and fears. My name is Iryna Uzlova. This is a live broadcast of YouTube channel 24 and together with us, traditionally, as always, regularly Boris Pincus, an American politician. Boris, hello. I am sincerely glad to see you.
Hello, dear, thank you. Glad to be on your channel and glory to Ukraine.
Glory to our heroes. Thank you for your position, Boris. Lawrence Friedman, Emeritus Professor of War Studies at King's College London, wonders to himself whether a Trump presidency is the beginning of an even more dangerous period. What should Ukraine expect now? He notes, like many of our experts, that Trump takes the simplest proposal, refuses Ukraine, or at least forces us to conclude a deal with Russia that is unfavorable for Kiev. This is possible, but far from a fact. And why should Trump really make concessions to the Russian dictator? How can he suddenly become beneficial or necessary for him? And why should it be in his interests to surrender Ukraine? It seems to me that it can be quite the opposite.
Exactly. This question is asked by us, but who are we? Ordinary Americans, taxpayers, who took it in unison, went to the polls and voted for Trump. Why? Because, my friends, just last week the Chicago Institute for Research published America's latest polls. On a national scale, the opinions of ordinary Americans about helping Ukraine. 63%, my dear, of the Americans are for their unfailing assistance to Ukraine until its complete victory. Is this not enough? And I will add to you, bipartisan unity in Congress, and Democrats and Republicans hand and foot for helping Ukraine. But imagine, Trump takes it and says to the same Zelenskyy on the road, "Finish, we don't need it. I need to think about my problems, plus China is more important to me than you, and Putin, and so on." How can he say that? You tell me. First, you need to know Trump. He doesn't like defeat, he doesn't like to retreat. Never. You will trace his biography. There is no businessman who has suffered so many crashes. But it is unique in that, being in such a decadent state in business, he was recovering, and not only recovering, but he increased his fortune. What does this mean? Will. He sets a goal, and achieves it at any cost. He is an extraordinary, non-systemic politician. He entered the American elite, broke in, just like Zelenskyy. He is also not a systemic politician, and look at the successes Zelenskyy has achieved. You know, they have a lot in common, but Trump differs from Zelenskyy in that he is unpredictable. Zelenskyy today cannot be unpredictable. Zelenskyy expresses the aspirations of the Ukrainian people today. These 59% of Zelenskyy's support among his people, this just suggests that Zelenskyy cannot be unpredictable. He expresses the aspirations of his people. And people, politicians, speaking about Zelenskyy, they should keep in mind that Zelenskyy is the people, this is the people of Ukraine. And we're saying, Trump, who today literally, you know, he inspired us all a lot. Even I, an inveterate Republican, have been in politics for many years and was in Trump's election campaign from 2016 to 2020. I did not believe that Trump could win like this. I won great, to be honest. I'll tell you more, I know him personally, I was very offended by him. To be honest, I didn't even want him to run at all. For me, Nikki Haley was a star, she remains a star for me. I communicate with her. She is a very amazing woman. I think she'll come back. God willing, 2028 will be hers, God willing, we will support her. Now, but Trump, he's been great in his first term, I thought that he had exhausted himself. The time has come to leave. You need to leave at the zenith of your glory. But no, look, I am still proud that he was able to reach out to that stratum of voters who had never voted for Republicans like that before. I'll give you an example. It increased the number of votes among Latin Americans by 20%. By 18% among young people, which has never happened before. And this is despite the fact that the whole of Hollywood stood behind Harris. Stars. Can you imagine? Stars. And this De Niro is sleeping and seeing how to punch Trump in the face, as he says. And where is this De Niro now? Look at this, shame and disgrace. Trump did not have such well-known stars. But on the other hand, he met with young people cleverly, visiting podcasts of those who are with young people today. It was by visiting them in the radio and television studio that he was able to reach them. Look at it. And yet, I will tell you that the people are tired. People are very tired over these past almost 4 years from high prices for essential goods, high crime rate. I'm not talking about illegal emigration. People understood all this. And it's just great, you know. I could not even believe my eyes and ears, what had happened, with delight. And now look. Return to Ukraine. Do you think maybe Trump, after everything that has happened, and the latest indicators of the survey on assistance to Ukraine, plus bipartisan unity in Congress, it has not disappeared, it is, and it will be strengthened even more. Why? Because the friends of Ukraine in Congress itself, these are the 3 mics, I will constantly talk about them on every broadcast. 3 of our outstanding politicians, Republicans. The Reagan wing is Mike Turner, chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Mike McCall, chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and Mike Rogers, chairman of the Arms Committee. They are the backbone of our party. They are great friends of Ukraine. They can't, you know, if suddenly Trump says, "Oh, the end, guys, let's think about ourselves. We have a lot of problems, we need money inside," then China is scarier. No, they will never support it. And we will not support it, and Trump knows it. Do you know what the charm of Trump is? Unpredictability. This unpredictability is a cudgel over America's enemies. So, why is Trump sure that if he had been instead of Biden, then Putin would not have attacked Ukraine? But because he is unpredictable. This is what unpredictably hung over the head of this maniac Putin. He would keep it in his head. Listen, he, the devil knows, will use something against. I don't need it. And, of course, there is a high probability that he would not have started the aggression. True, unpredictability is sometimes bad for us, America's friends, too. Because we have to plan our actions, its predictability should give us strength, energy, and faith. This is exactly the situation Ukraine is in today. Therefore, Zelenskyy wants to reach out to the depths of Trump's soul, to find out what he wants, what he is planning. And we got an amazing message just yesterday, when Trump spoke on the phone with Zelenskyy. And not alone. He took a Trump card with you for the first time. Do you think what a Trump card it is? Do you know? Not only that, the richest man on the planet. So he will now offer Zelenskyy amazing projects. The first is the defense industry, 100%. And Elon Musk today is a genius in space exploration. In our defense industry, he has amazing contracts with the Pentagon. And a number of satellites that are now being sent under the SpaceX program. There is no price for this. I have no doubt that something new, which has never been offered to anyone before. No British, no French, no Germans, no one. Namely, it will be offered to Ukraine. Implemented in Ukraine. I mean the defense industry. Not only is our Elon Musk's Starlink helping Ukraine well today, assistance to Ukraine will be expanded today, without officialdom, no publications. Today, it is no coincidence that Elon Musk has already spoken to Zelenskyy on the phone. Some say, Boris, you have bent it. Or maybe they want to persuade him. They will offer him a carrot, and tell Zelenskyy, listen, let's finish, we will give it to you, and you. It won't happen. Do you know why? Why? Zelenskyy had a great meeting with Trump. And when Trump went out with Zelenskyy into the street, and Trump says he's iron, he called Zelenskyy iron. What does iron mean? Unshakable, impenetrable, impenetrable, that's it. Do you understand? What do you think? And moreover, Trump honestly and cordially admitted, I learned a lot about the war in Ukraine from Zelenskyy.
But Boris, wait a moment, Elon Musk.
And most importantly, all this is nonsense. The most important thing he said, that even if there is a deal, I will never do so that this infringes on the national interests of Ukraine. Period. Guys, this says it all. And, continuing to be unpredictable. He often calls himself crazy. You know, I'll give you an example. During his first term in Turkey, an American pastor was detained. And this Erdogan, we don't know what he was going to do with him. Then Trump said, listen, I'll drown your economy. I'm crazy. 2 days have not passed. The pastor was at home. Do you understand? That is, he fulfills his words, his promises. I have no doubt that he will not surrender a single fifth of the land of Ukraine. He has no right, it's not American. Moreover, I have just spoken about his character. That is, it does not fit into his character, concession. But as for America as a whole, are categorically against our position, our national interests. Imagine what he will say, Zelenskyy, let's give Crimea away, to hell, there are 4 regions. For that we will give you this, we will give you this. Do you think America's enemies will perceive this? The same Xi Jinping in relation to Taiwan, but how will Ayatollah perceive this? And how will the same Kim perceive it? What do you think? Is Trump a fool? He's not a fool. He understands perfectly well what the consequences will be. Therefore, my friends, dear Ukrainians, do not believe anyone, until you hear something from the mouth of Trump himself. Or until you see his actions. Yes, he will continue to call Putin a friend, or that Xi Jinping a friend, he called them, and he called Kim a friend, but he did it in his own way. I have said and will continue to say that Trump's policy is a soft bed and a hard sleep. That's Trump.
Yes, Boris, I can agree on this 1001%, but at the same time, I appeal a little from the mouths of both critics and those looking for risks in the coming of Trump and his team to power. I'm just talking about Elon Musk, who was really the third participant in the telephone conversation between Zelenskyy and Trump. And many say, experts, that in fact, the main threat is not even Trump, who sees risks in him, but Elon Musk. And they recall that he can talk to the Russian dictator. And that when there was an attack in October 2022 on the Crimean bridge, Starlinks were jammed, fearing nuclear escalation. Boris, what will we answer here to those who fear this option that Musk may indeed be more friends with Moscow?
Now let's start with something else.
Come on.
After all, it is not Trump who works for Musk, but Musk who works for Trump. Moreover, I will tell you something else. You know that today any activity of Elon Musk abroad is controlled. Some are controlled by the Pentagon. the other to the special services. He can't do anything on his own. No voluntarism. Everything is under control, everything is planned, there is a goal. But the ways to achieve the goal will be different. One of the ways is Musk's money and his technology. We don't need anything else from him. We don't need his political ideas, he's not a politician. We need his money and technology, that's just why Trump keeps him around. All.
Yes, it is accepted. Okay, we will use it in this vein. And in the matter of defense, and not only. Yes, it is clear here.
I will tell you more, you know, we are lobbying for Trump to come to Kiev. This can happen very soon, God willing, God willing. We are working on this and will ask that Elon Musk be with him, and he will probably do so, quite possibly. Moreover, of course, there will be congressional representatives on a bipartisan basis. This is our request, this is our desire. We are trying to reach Trump from various sources and soon we ourselves will be at meetings, God willing, with him. In short, that's all we're doing today. You know, there is a saying, a child does not cry, a mother does not listen. Just because Trump won, it doesn't mean we won the war. We only won the battle. We will win the war when we expel these barbarians abroad in 1991 and blow off the Ayatollah's head. This is our goal. Then there will be victory in the war. So far, there is no victory in the war. We won the battle.
That's a battle. But the struggle continues, which is also the main thing, and does not stop. This is how our broadcast continues. Let me remind you that it continues live on YouTube channel 24. This is Saturday, November 9th. I am Iryna Uzlova and Boris Pincus, an American politician. We have already heard about the call. We are waiting for Trump's trip. Let him come. Thank you for lobbying. And Putin is waiting, but he can't wait for anything. No call, no visit. And how much he really wants to talk and what he would like to say and hear about Trump. And why Trump is really somehow, I see, in no hurry to talk to him.
There are many reasons for this. I wouldn't call this Putin at all. In general, I would not talk to him yet. Until Ukraine launches a full counteroffensive. Then Putin would have called himself. This is the state I would bring to this. I wouldn't call if I were Trump. He won't call, I'm sure. It's Putin who is looking for, you know, that's the reason to call Trump. I am sure of it. And Trump is not in a hurry at all and will not be in a hurry. This is in my opinion. Very important now, you know what? Who will enter his office? Very important. He will now form a cabinet. We also have our own candidates. The main candidate is Mike Pompeo.
And we want to.
We really want Mike to be the national security advisor. We really want it to be great. The fact that Mike is one of his advisors today is yes. But this is not enough for us. We need him to become just an official, the most serious, on which Trump's decision will depend. This is our main goal. He is predicted to have another place in the Pentagon, Mike Pompeo, Secretary of Defense. I don't know, but I would prefer, to have him as a national security advisor. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Still in progress. We are lobbying, let's see what happens. This is very important. There is still the possibility that O'Brien may become, a former national security advisor, will return to his cabinet. Also a great friend of Ukraine, by the way, very even. So we have. Of course, I would like him not to forget about Nikki Haley, but he has a counter-LYTSE there. This is, first of all, a Ramaswamy, also a Hindu with Hindu roots. For some reason, he is very jealous of Nikki Haley. And he is also part of the team, which is engaged in taking power from the Democrats today. So his voice is still there. Unfortunately, we'll see, it's not evening yet, we'll see. In short, the struggle continues, but we are optimists. The main thing we did, the main thing is that Trump won. Now we must preserve it, my friends. You don't think that Trump won, it's no already. We have more than enough enemies, both inside the country and abroad. God grant that he will be alive and well until January 20th next year. This is very important. Do you think they are all our enemies and have laid down their hands? Nothing of the kind. Iran still exists, and Putin still exists, he is still seasoned. I said and I will repeat, thousands of illegal immigrants still cross the borders. And where is the guarantee that there are no Russians among them, sent by the same Putin, a KGB officer, who can be provoked, to do something? There is no guarantee in anything. Therefore, the situation of the archive is serious. We need to be on the lookout 24/7. This is the situation we have today.
We'll talk about enemies a little later. Boris, for now, let's talk about friends and about us. During Trump's trip, potentially to Ukraine and in general now in line with working with the Republicans, what should we rely on for our part? You said that it is necessary to find an approach and understand what Trump is both interested in and needs. How should we build our policy of working with the Republican camp, but also with the Democrats, who will also be represented in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, not to lose contact?
I am glad that, firstly, the Democrats are also in the majority for Ukraine. This is very important, very important. There is bipartisan unity. That's the first thing. Secondly, answering your question, I cannot, help but admire Zelenskyy. He has already set the tone. In his plan for victory, he touched on two very important issues, which may be of great interest to America. The first issue is a proposal for American investment in development and production. For example, minerals, which are very important today for the development of high technologies. The same lithium, for example, or titanium, for example, which America needs very much today, and they have their own deposits. And yet, more than 5 million tons of lithium reserves in the bowels of Ukraine are a good help to help Ukraine develop devices on the ground, primarily weapons, based on modern technologies. I'm not talking about accumulators, batteries, what lithium lives on, what the development of these devices is based on, and much more. This is Zelenskyy's first amazing proposal. Second, no less important, I would even say the most weighty proposal. It is the replacement of the American troops stationed in Europe today with Ukrainian ones. The very ones that can become, protection for the whole of Europe. And to our shame, it is not NATO that defends Ukraine to this day. Namely, it is Ukraine that defends NATO. And today, in order to give this the status of legitimacy and to emphasize that Ukraine has won the title of the best army in the world today, even better than ours, the American one. Why? Because after World War II, America did not fight in Europe. America did not fight with such rabid barbarians who piled on Ukraine, surpassing both in the number of manpower and in the quality of the armed forces. And Ukraine did not surrender in any way, it is defending itself to this day. Only 20% of Ukraine is occupied, no more. And Ukraine will not give up. I'll tell you more, we have skeptics. I'll tell you this. God forbid, if suddenly, for some reason, it will turn out that Ukraine will be forced to sit down at the negotiating table, or decide something about Ukraine behind Ukraine's back. The war will not end there. The war will move into a new phase. Ukraine will fight in other ways. One of them is the partisan movement, which will cover all of Russia, all of Ukraine, from Vladivostok to Lviv. And we will see what the Ukrainian people are capable of. This is what we are trying to convey to those politicians. who are trying to say, Boris, we must save the lives of the remaining Ukrainians. Why fight to the last Ukrainian? And I say, wait. First of all, you give your finger to this Putin, he will cut off your hand, and if you give him a hand, he will cut off your head. He needs not only Ukraine, he needs the Baltic states, he needs Poland, he needs Hungary, he needs Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and so on with all the stops. He never hid his desire, which is based on, you see, the return of the Russian world, referring to Peter the Great. This is aggression. This is neo-Nazism. Today it is called Russism. You see, enslavement, the seizure of foreign territories. We have no right to allow this. You know, we have already earned enough grief, tears, a real genocide on Ukrainian soil. And should we tolerate it? No. Trump is not someone who will tolerate this, and we will not allow him. Yes, he himself is great. You see, he will offer very interesting options, not to the detriment of Ukraine, I have no doubt about it.
Yes, Putin will not stop. This is his launched military repressive machine, which is ready to devour both Ukraine and half of Europe with a roller, to go further, restoring some empires and satisfying the ambitions of a senile bunker grandfather. There is no end if we do not stop him here. And this, I think, is understood by both Trump and Trump's team. That is, in principle, if the dictator does not make any concessions to the agreement, then, perhaps, there is an option that something will fly at the Kremlin that he does not like, and, possibly, into the bunker itself.
Listen to me carefully. Let's go back to our American history. In the post-war period, the Korean Civil War began. This was in 1950 to 1953. Truman, then president, said, "We will help those Koreans who fight for freedom, democracy, weapons, and no troops." But when weapons flowed into North Korea, and even the soldiers of the Soviet Union at that time and China, then Truman was forced to send our troops. It is thanks to this we have today one of the most developed countries in the world, South Korea. We lost 36,000 of our soldiers at that time. We do not regret it. Why? Because we were able to help South Korea survive. And today it is a model for those countries who strive for freedom. One of them is Ukraine. I will continue for you. Vietnam. First there were weapons, and then our soldiers. Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, weapons, and then we came. And what do you think, who is afraid of Putin, his nuclear weapons, as he says? And he will not use it. He wouldn't dare. First, he always shouted that if someone wanders on the territory of Russia, legitimized by the Russian constitution, then he will immediately accept any kind of weapon to protect their territories. For example, Ukraine is attacking Crimea today. Ukraine today is attacking these so-called pseudo. The Donetsk region, there is Luhansk, as he called it there, and other territories occupied by Putin. And where is Putin's response? Moreover, the armed forces of Ukraine entered the Kursk region, on the territory of Russia itself. And where is Putin's response, my dear? Where is Putin's response? It won't. Let him try. Do you think we are sleeping, or what? We are watching his every move. We have the most powerful satellite system in the world, which penetrates tens of meters underground, to know where everything is moving, where it is moving. And pressing the button, the so-called red one, does not mean that the rocket has flown away. This is the beginning of the process of preparing for the use of the rocket. It takes time. Will this go unnoticed in our country? So everything will be ahead of the curve. Absolutely. And Putin knows this. Therefore, I return to another question. When Biden was asked, why don't you give the status of a sponsor of terrorism to the same Putin? The answer, yes, is acceptable even to us Republicans. Why? He says, wait. If we now declare him a sponsor of terrorism, we must cut off all kinds of channels of communication with Putin. But we have a channel between the ministries of foreign affairs. We have a channel between the ministries of defense, and even between special services. Why? Because we have to bring to Putin that we all hear. We see everything, and we know what to do. If suddenly you take steps to use this or that non-conventional type of weapon, we are talking not only about nuclear, chemical, and bacteriological too. Therefore, I want to say that all these channels are still there. They're in action. This also highlights what we are watching. We know. All this is true. And with Trump coming to the White House, it will be under special control, even intensified, as much as our modern types of weapons and high technology allow it today. First of all, Elon Musk. Thanks to him for that. Therefore, I say again that today there will be a different approach to everything, completely different. And I'm glad that Trump is the right person today, at the right time, in the right place, and he will save the world.
Boris, Europe is worried about whether it now needs to save itself. It is also worried about the future of NATO, and about the fact that it is now necessary to rely only on itself on security issues. NLY Viktor Orban is not worried. It's all fine with him and with Trump. And now he thinks that he can become a big geopolitical player in the European arena. Should Europe be worried?
You know, on the one hand, yes. Yes, of course. Why? Because Trump says, listen, my friends, it's been so long since World War II. We gave you the Marshall Plan, thanks to which you got back on your feet. How long can I do, my friends? You are already self-sufficient. You should think about your defense industry yourself. And we should just be next to you. If anything, we are on the hook. And not in this way, you are fattening yourself. You allow yourself to live on a preferential basis. Your average European has 30 days of vacation per year. And we Americans are only 12 days a year. Where is it comparable? Why should we work hard and help you, give you weapons? Let's be honest. At least in accordance with the NATO Charter. Although the NATO Charter must be revised. What the Europeans do not want. Sir Trump says. He recently did a very interesting thing. If it weren't for me, then the number of NATO members would never have increased from 30 to 32. It was me who threatened, and they ran in, says Trump. This is true. What to say, what a sin to hide. That's the first thing. Secondly, he asks the question, according to the NATO Charter, 2% of GDP each of the NATO members must contribute to the NATO budget in their armed forces. Even Germany, Europe's largest economy, still does not have this. To this day, no. Poland raised it to 4%. The Baltic countries even higher. They are in the danger zone, on the border with Russia, they are afraid, and so on. And why not the rest of the countries? Why the same countries that I came out to name, Germany, France, Spain, why not? They should. Sir Trump says, we have to reform NATO. He has never been against NATO. Never, but he threatens. He says, if they say that, they can't run. He's right, absolutely right. For example, a father, you know, wants to tame his naughty son. He says, you won't do it. If you don't behave properly, I'll punish you, I'll put you in a corner. Either I won't give you a candy, or something else. This is exactly how Trump behaves towards Europeans today. And they ran in not by chance. They are obliged today to find a little fastening of the belts on the belt too. Should also run for the sake of their own well-being. This is very different from the other side. Trump demands honesty from them. He says, wait, we have agreed that there will be no energy from Russia. Trump asked for it. After all, he was the first to declare war on Nord Stream 2. After all, this is Trump. It is he who, with his amazing foreign policy activities, achieved his good ties with Saudi Arabia. A decrease in the price per barrel from $120 to $40. This was Trump. Therefore, he says, listen, where is justice? On the one hand, you are asking me for money for your weapons, on your military roof. And on the other hand, you continue to feed Putin with petrodollars, buying its energy resources. Where is the logic here? I'll give you an example. Last year alone, Putin earned $2 billion on the sale of energy resources to the same Europeans, who allegedly boycotted Putin and hung sanctions on him. Why lie? Why be hypocrites? Speak the truth and do the right thing, and not the way they ran today. Oh, do you know who is against Trump today? Who are Trump's enemies? These are not only our left liberals, who called Trump a fascist, a Nazi. It is Trump to call the fascist the one who has done more for Israel than anyone else. It was he who moved the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It was he who moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It was he who recognized the Golans as part of Israel. It was he who ensured the safety of the holy places in Jerusalem. Christian, Jewish and Muslim in the center of Jerusalem. It was Trump. And after that, called him a fascist, a Nazi, an anti-Semite. And who do you think joined them? Of course, the leaders of European countries. They are the ones who do not want Trump today. And add to them all the enemies of America. Putin, Kim, Xi Jinping, Ayatollah. So this whole gang today, left liberals, liberal leaders of European countries and these dictators. All in the same boat. All against Trump. But draw a conclusion from this. Why? Because Trump will not behave the way Biden did. Their attitude towards Ukraine, and in relation to Israel. Trump says that if we have these values, then we should not be hypocrites. If you raise your hand, strike. If a fight is inevitable, strike first. This is Trump's logic. Therefore, Trump today, God willing, is obliged to put everything in its place. That's why we elected him, that's why we voted for him. And all hope is on him.
And the hope that peace through force will be, and it will be fair. And what hope does Xi Jinping still have now? Or he has no hope there and he is also frightened?
Yes, a very good question. Why? America is not as omnipotent as we say. Yes, you know, America is a great power in many ways. Economy, armament, science. We have it all. And it is no coincidence that millions are eager to join us. Not to China, not to Russia, not to France, not to Britain, but to us. Open the borders of America, the peoples will flow in droves. This did not arise out of nowhere. This is justified. But lately, America has been a little shaken. Why? Because, you know, I've said it and I'll say it again, there's a specter haunting America today, the specter of socialism. It is this false pernicious theory, of which you and I are victims. It is today, you know, like a virus, that has pierced the body of our society, and tries to breed in such a way that We do not recognize our country. I have been in this country for 35 years. I could never believe what thousands, or even millions, can do. Behold, 3 million young people took to our streets, campuses, universities with anti-American slogans, with Palestinian flags, burning American flags not anywhere. Not in some Iran, there in Palestine, there or somewhere else, no. But a few steps from the capital in the center of America. Burn the American flag in the capital of America. Where has this been seen and allowed? Therefore, this, of course, makes us cringe, distorts. And we, the people, understood this. People went to the polling stations, voting, showing that the test for IQ, for mentality, for the ability to think logically, and to appreciate the situation today, the American people have passed it successfully, amazingly. And it is no accident that today we have won not only the White House, we won the Congress in both houses. This speaks volumes about the positive about the American people. And rumors that America is dying or is dead turned out to be premature. I am proud of it. So I turn to China. With regard to China, the question is fundamentally different in relation to Russia. Why? First, our economy is 40% tied to China. And today we can't at all understand correctly. Trump's slogan is not to fight. He says, I am for peace, but based on our power, on our military might. I am for peace, which I will look at through the prism of our armed forces. That's how it should be. This is Reagan's logic, our outstanding president. Now, Trump borrowed from him, and I'm proud of it. Therefore, we, the Reagan wing of the Republican Party, are for Trump. This is the kind of Trump who adheres to the Reagan canvas. Therefore, when I return to China, I will say that Trump has a terrific principle which ensured his success in the economy. And then he transferred this principle to politics. It says, you'll never have in business something what you deserve. You will have exactly what you agree on. Therefore, this is exactly what he will apply today in relation to China. He has already applied this in his first cadence. The most obvious example is his success in that China agreed with a grudging heart to accept Trump's conditions for higher tax duties. As a result, China was forced to pay $350 billion a year to the American Treasury. Trump did it. Then they called there was a trade war between America and China. Whatever you call it, the result is important. Trump has achieved this. And today suddenly Trump says, if I come to the White House, I will increase tariffs by another 20%. And they tell him, his friends in the environment say, what are you doing at all? So this will hit our economy, we will have an increase in inflation. How can you say that? And Trump says, and I can say more. I declare that I will raise and by 40%, and by 60%, and 100%. Let them think, let them have a headache, but why should I think about it? But when I sit down at the negotiating table, I will get exactly what suits both my people and them. In other words, do you know what he is? He likes to escalate with, to get de-escalation. This is his principle.
It suits us. Boris, thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you for your explanation, for the time you have, for your position. See you soon. Take care of yourself.
Thank you very much. We will win. We have no other way. It's all about time and price. Here we are talking now. And today, missiles and drones fall every night. And to Kiev, and to Kharkov, and to other cities of the great long-suffering Ukrainian people. Anyway, we will win, whatever it costs us. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to our heroes, and thanks to them, and their work at the front, and the price that we pay with our fighters, we can talk and we can move on the way to this victory. First of all, thanks to our defenders and all those who help us, Boris. Thank you too. We are moving towards victory together. Take care.
Thank you, for sure.
Absolutely. Boris Pincus, American politician. Iryna Uzlova spoke with him. Friends, thank you for being with us. Leave your comments, like and subscribe to YouTube 24. All these allow our conversations to advance through the expanses of YouTube. Take care of yourself. Believe in the armed forces of Ukraine. See you and win.